It's me again, Demetrius Andrade, and if you're looking to take your fight game to the next level, try this, the Fighter Stack. Everything you need.
Hey everybody, Marcos Villegas here in Florida at the St. Pete Boxing Club, being joined with Keith Thurman, who fights Manny Pacquiao July 20th on pay-per-view, your first foray into pay-per-view, but fighting an opponent in Manny Pacquiao that's a legendary figure. He's like a living legend. Keith, this is the first time we got to see you spar in person. This is the first time you've been in the ring in a while. How did it feel?
Obviously wasn't my best day, plus we did circuit training before we even got into the ring, so we got into the ring tired today, but we pushed ourselves, and it felt good, you know, seeing the angles against the southpaw. My last fighter, Jose Cito Lopez, was a long, lanky right-hander. Manny Pacquiao's a short, explosive southpaw. It's completely night and day, and so preparation is going to be very important. But I'm enjoying it. It was really nice to be in the ring. It was really nice to see punches and seeing the angles opening. You know, we got new 18-ounce gloves we were using. We had a new headgear on. You know, it just felt good, man. You know, boxing is a beautiful sport. I feel really confident in my right hand. I'm always confident in my movement, but I'm trying to not utilize it as much. You know, I want to hold my ground, stand my ground, and, you know, let Manny Pacquiao do what Manny Pacquiao does, because I believe that when he fights and when he opens up, you know, just like all the great matches that he was in the past, you know, he gives it, but he takes it because he's more offensive than defensive, you know, and he almost uses his offense as his defense because he's so offensive and he attacks you from different angles. So while he's using his offense and then while he's moving around you, that's the defensive move that he applies in his offensive strategy, but he's really also utilizing those angles to hopefully hit you from a new angle and a different approach. So my sparring partner was trying to mimic that a little bit, you know. Everybody, I tell them, you know, I know you're a southpaw. I know you have a fight style that got you to where you are today, but you're in this training camp, and, you know, I need you to fight a little bit like Manny Pacquiao. Please go home, watch some tapes, watch some highlights, and mimic a little bit of that burst of energy, those flurries and attacks. If you want to stay in my chest, move around, whatever you can do that mimics, because it's impossible to clone Manny Pacquiao. We're not going to have a replica of him, but if we can get one guy who can hop around the ring like him, if we can get another guy who throws the left hand like him, if we can just get fighters that can do one of the attributes, that's another reason why we use multiple sparring partners, in hopes that when you combine what these fighters are doing, you're getting close to the full picture, so that when you're in with the real deal Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, you're fully prepared and there's not a lot of surprises the night of the fight.
This is your second camp now for this year. You're getting back in the groove of things. How are you now back in the groove, and with the injury that you had before? Like, are you feeling like you're the Keith Thurman of 2 years ago?
You know, 30 years old, I don't feel like, you know, the Keith Thurman that was in his 20s, and 2 years of inactivity, you know, but I feel good, and I'm hoping to continue this momentum. And the night of the fight, I plan on feeling great. So I'm really happy with where we are right now, with several weeks to go. There's more in preparation. The work that I did today, I already made some key notes to myself on what I want to bring out of myself for the next few weeks to really know that we're going to be prepared for this fight. I love the fight. I love the matchup. It's an amazing opportunity to share the ring with the legendary Pac-Man Pacquiao. He had a great performance in his last fight, and he's going to try to replicate that again against me. And I just want to present to him a bigger and better challenge, and one that he won't be able to defeat.
Do you feel, though, like yourself again? Do you feel like the speed's back, the power's back, like everything's like running on 8 cylinders?
It's really hard to say, because the 2 years of inactivity, I lost the feeling of what it felt like to be a fighter. At the end of the day, boxing's not new to me, but that's why we're in here working, and I just want to be the best that I can be. 12-round championship boxing is no easy task. My last fight, I was able to move around a lot, and like I said, this fight, I know I always have my feet behind me, but I would like, because Pacquiao is the smaller guy, I would like to be able to push him backwards. That's why you saw today, me moving forward sometimes, getting into my sparring partner's chest. A lot of times I've come accustomed to fighting on the outside, using range, using distance, letting people make mistakes. But now I say, this is just got to be a great fight. I want a great fight. I want to get him on the inside and the outside. So we're trying to prepare for that.
Yeah, 3 things that I noticed from the sparring session that went through my mind was, one, when I saw you exchanging, I thought, oh wow, this is going to be a really good fight, because it's looking like Keith is not afraid to exchange with a guy with quick hands in there. The other thing is, you looked really fast. Even though this was the first time in a while, you look really fast, and I was thinking, okay, if he's looking fast already a month out, he's going to get even quicker by the time the fight comes out. And of course, your timing looked really good in there.
Yeah, this is our second camp of the year, and we took some of the momentum from the Jose Cito Lopez camp, and I have 2 strength and conditioning coaches, and I believe it's going to show. I tell everybody, when you watch fighters perform, you're not just watching their performance, but you're watching the results of their preparation for that performance, right? So people talk about, the way Anthony Joshua looked, however he looked. I didn't watch the whole fight. I did see some highlights and stuff, and it didn't look like he was really there, and heavyweights don't have to make weight, so they don't have to go through, they don't have to force themselves to go through what I must force myself to go through, because I have to do a lot of cardio, this strength and conditioning work, and diet, just to perform. Just to step on the scale and make sure that I agreed to the contract and I'm not going to get fined anything, And a heavyweight gets to train to the best of their ability, or however they feel that's going to make them prepared for that match. But if he doesn't want to run for 45 minutes a day, he doesn't have to. If he wants to hit the bag for an hour straight and that he calls that his workout, he can do that,
That was a crazy fight, huh? Like, what'd you make of what happened there and like what Andy did?
Well, it's interesting, because I missed the whole fight. I'm obviously somebody who would watch the rematch if the rematch happens, because of so much controversy and it being one of the biggest upsets of the year. But I do know that Joshua spent time in Miami, and I don't know too many fighters who have great training camps in Miami.
A lot of distractions in Miami. No, back in the day they used to go there, but not recently.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali was down there, right? You can't distract Muhammad Ali because he was a showman, and he had a lot of pride, And then another thing too, his opponent, was a late replacement, which can make a fighter get a little mentally relaxed when they shouldn't. Think, oh, this guy took the fight on short notice. Actually, early on in my career, I took a fight in California at the StubHub Center, and this guy literally took the fight on a 2-day notice. 2-day notice. All we knew is he was a gym rat because he was ready to fight, right? It probably was a 6-round fight, something like that at the time. Couldn't have been more than 8 rounds at the time. I wasn't even at the
main event. I think I might have seen that fight.
Mosley Laura. The co-main event was Canelo.
Oh, Canelo Gomez. That was at the Staples Center. I was there. Yeah. I was there. Yeah. Mosley Moore. They fought to a draw, and then Canelo fought on the undercard. Yeah, I remember that.
I was on the.
I did see you fight. Now I remember.
You remember?
Yes.
So you saw me get knocked down.
You didn't get knocked down in that fight, did you?
No, I got knocked down.
With was it with a hook?
Yeah, it was with a hook.
It's weird. The more fights I see, it's like blurry.
And I knocked him down, and then I knocked him down in the second and the third, and they stopped the fight. But he was a 2-day notice.
Yeah.
His record was like 15-5 or 10-5. I remember something being like 15. So I don't know if he had 15 total fights or 15 wins. It was like 10 wins, 5 losses.
You're like, oh, this guy can't do anything to me. Like, look at his record. Like,
No, his record, I was like, the only thing that I was concerned about his record was out of the fights that he won, half of them were knockouts, you know?
Yeah.
So it did seem like he had power, but I was like, how much power does this guy have? Within 10 seconds of the fight, I get knocked down. Big sweeping left hook. My right hand wasn't up all the way. Boom, down I go. I get up. He hit me so hard. You remember the game Fight Night?
Yeah.
Where you had to bring the things together, right?
it certainly got like that, like all blurry.
So what happened was he hit me so hard on the right side of my head that when I stood up, my left eye was blurry, you know? So believe your teachers when they tell you this hemisphere works this side of the body and this hemisphere works the other side of the body. I found that to be factual on that day. So I got a blurry eye, and I'm like, I'm mad. I'm mad. I'm really mad, right? I'm on the floor. I'm thinking to myself, Oscar De La Hoya is sitting there because I was working with Golden Boy at the time, and they were interested in me. I was just about to sign with Al, too, at the same time. And he had spectators, and they're like, this is who we're supposed to watch. Boom. I get up. I knock him down, and as soon as I knock him down, I'm like cursing through my mouthpiece. I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm like, ah. And then we keep fighting, the bell rings, ding, second round. We're going, we're moving, he's boxing, he's doing all this like ducking, this awkward movement, and he's talking trash because now I knocked him down, he knocked me down, he's talking trash. Sometime in the second round, boom, I drop him again. Then he gets up, keeps fighting, bell rings, boom. We go to the third round. He's still talking trash. I outnumber him in knockdowns already. He's still talking trash. And he kept doing this awkward duck. And I was tired of missing with that awkward duck. I said, I got something for him. So I go to throw a jab. He holds his position because he's waiting for the right hand. I go to feint the right hand. He goes to duck in that awkward position. I follow him. I hit him with a left uppercut right on the chin, buckle him. Here comes the third knockdown. He stands up. He does the Flintstone walk where he can barely catch himself. He stands up right before the count, and he puts his hands up. The ref waves it. It was a no 3 knockdown rule. The ref waves it. I'm in the neutral corner. And this dude wants to fight. This dude clearly wants to fight. He's upset. The fight's over now. He's upset. And I'm just waiting for him because I'm upset still that he knocked me down in the first place. I'm just waiting for him to push the ref away and come get me so we can just keep fighting for the sake of the fight. It was a crazy night, but it was a big lesson. Don't ever underestimate your opponents. Be prepared from the start of the opening bell, because when I got knocked down, I could have been knocked out. That could have been the first mark on my record. I could have looked like any other fighter, and I would have looked, you know, my career would not have exactly gone where it's gone today and where it's gone from that day. I redeemed myself with the victory, and in retrospect, that's what Luis did, right? Mm-hmm. He was the one who got knocked down first. Mm-hmm. Then he got up and started knocking the other guy down more. So there's many lessons to learn in the sport of boxing. You know, Manny Pacquiao does have a shot at winning this fight, even at the age of 40 years old. I'm fully aware, but we're in here working hard, making sure that we're fully prepared. We are not underestimating Manny Pacquiao. He is a legend. He is a Hall of Famer. He does have speed. He does have power. He has a whole nation backing him. He has a lot of pride, and I know he's bringing all of that into the ring on fight night. I have to do what I have to do to be prepared for that.
Back to the Joshua thing, and then we'll touch back on something you said about Manny. A lot of people have said that he quit in there, that by his body language, like he didn't want to be in there. Did you see that? Did you notice that, or you didn't think that was that?
Well, he looked out of shape. You know, I only watched highlights, but he did look out of shape. You know, lack of preparation. Whatever the performance is, right? Who else? Swift lost this year.
Yeah, against Julian Williams.
J-Rock, who had a tremendous amateur background. It's not like the kid won everything, but he's had over 100 amateur fights.
He looked sharp that fight, sharp and fast.
When he fought the Charlos, he did good. He just didn't win. He showed good hand speed. He showed combinations. He didn't win the fight. And knowing that you had an opportunity to become world champion and falling short, this is your second opportunity. Of course, you know, fighters like J-Rock who have the amateur background, really, they have the passion, you know. And Swift is one of those guys who rose up in the ranks so quick, you know. And a lot of times, when they start beating so many good fighters, they think that they're going to just beat everybody. And you might be able to beat everybody as long as you don't forget what got you to beat everybody. It's the hard work and the dedication. I missed that fight. My Aunt Kim was actually at the fight. She bought tickets, but I got her better tickets, and she gave her tickets away to some friends. She was at the fight because it was in D.C., and that's where she's from. So that was, from what I've heard, it's one of the fights of the year. You know, I heard he didn't do great, but obviously he's always fighting back, right? He's always fighting back. I missed it. I wish I really didn't. There was a part of me that wanted to even be there, but I think I had my own things getting ready for this camp in Florida at the time. And I'm a big fan of him because I remember when the kid fought on my undercard, and then here he is having his own headliners, you know? And I watched him beat Laura, and it was a tremendous fight, and he's just accomplished so much. I know his family's very proud of him. Post-fight, I heard, you know, he was eating at Chipotle, you know? And you know, that beans and rice was a part of his regiment, you know? And it's not that, you know, you can't have beans and rice, but when you're a professional athlete and you're fighting for 7 figures, your diet plan should consist of something a little bit more than Chipotle.
Andy eats beans and rice, so it does work, Andy Ruiz. But at the higher weights,
come on, man.
At the higher weights, you're doing a few things different. One, that you incorporated another strength and conditioning coach in this. First question is why? Why did you decide to do that? And what have you noticed that's bringing out of you? And what's the purpose of that?
Well, the purpose of it, one, is, you know, at a young age, Ben Getty always had me on a strength program, you know, and I was knocking grown men out at 15, 16 years old. I threw a lot of wide punches at that time. I was nowhere near a 12-round fighter. I was an amateur. I was a 3-round fighter, and then I was a 4-round fighter by the time I was 17. But I just want to get back to some of my roots. And one of the things I love about Yo Murphy over at ASPI is he's got this little black book. And Ben Getty used to have a little black book. It's irony, right? But as soon as I saw it, I felt like I'm in the right place. You know, this guy, he's gonna bring that strength out of me. You know, we're lifting weights. I haven't lifted weights for many years, and really since Ben Getty died 10 years ago. And the reason being is because I was trying to avoid injuries, and yet here I am needing elbow surgery and having hand problems, and I've come across all these injuries without lifting weights. So when I got back this year, I said, F it, let's lift. How are we gonna we did it to prevent injuries, and we've been getting our bodies beat up anyways. But, you know, obviously, let's lift weights in a smart way, right? There's still ways that you can hurt yourself in the gym, and in, you know, deadlifts and certain things. There's certain exercises that are more prone to injuries than others, and a lot of it has to do with too much heavy lifting, which a boxer doesn't need, and improper technique. So having a trainer like Yo is obviously going to work on that technique. But nowadays, too, you can do a lot of strength training without real weights. We do incorporate some weights, but nowadays you have a lot of band work. And band work can really help you incorporate strength, because it doesn't, when you lift a weight, there's a moment where it's heavy, and there's a moment where, like, you finish. And then, you know, it's heavy, and then you finish.
Push motion.
At the end, when you're doing a band, as the band extends, it's only getting harder. Yeah. You understand? It's only getting harder. There's not an easier part, right? When you're doing sit-ups, like I did 300 sit-ups today. When you're doing sit-ups, there's that moment where you're coming up and you can feel it in your abs, and then when you come all the way up, there's that release because your abs are disengaged. You see? And then you got to put yourself back, and then they're engaged again, and then they're disengaged. So band work is nowadays, I mean, a lot of athletes, football players, just tons of athletes are utilizing it, and we're utilizing it in this camp.
With an opponent like Manny Pacquiao that's so experienced that we know he's not the old Manny Pacquiao, but he's still pretty damn good. Yeah. And, you know, to the level where he's still able to compete with guys half his age like you. Do you want to remind people why they called you one time? Like, do you see this fight being as a way to remind people, like, hey, I still have this in me. I'm still great, and I'm going to show it against a guy like Manny?
I mean, this is a beautiful stage and platform to do exactly that. No matter what, we're always looking for victory, right? We're going to find a way to beat Manny Pacquiao, if it's with the jab, if it's with the right hand, if it's with the power shots. You know, we're always looking for victory, and we're always also looking to hurt our opponents. You know, I shocked myself in my last fight with a short left hook, dropping Jose Cito Lopez. It was the first knockdown that I've had in the Barclays. I've knocked fighters down at the MGM Grand before. I've stopped people early on undercards back in the day. It's been a long time since the world's seen Keith Thurman get a knockout, and it'd be great, you know, for me to not just beat Manny Pacquiao, but, you know, destroy him, annihilate him, create that separation, a true gap in this match.
With this fight, like, what would it mean to you to, like, beat someone like Manny? Like, have you, like, sat and thought, like, first, like, oh damn, I'm fighting Manny Pacquiao, like, this guy literally is like a living legend. But what do you think it would do for you and your legacy if you were to beat him and get a knockout result over him?
You know, it could, for me, I just really hope that people tune into this fight. You know, I just think it's one of the best matchups of the year. I'm really gonna play my part and do my best to make it one of the most exciting fights of the year. At the end of the day, this is a dream come true, man. I just love living the life that I've made for myself, you know. Injuries and all, you know, no matter how depressing it was to be out of the ring for 2 years and to be inactive at the highlight of my career when I unified the WBA and the WBC, defeating Danny Garcia. But, you know, everything happens for a reason, and look where we are today. This is another great fight. We can add this to our legacy, you know. But every time I fight, man, it's all about being happy and being satisfied with the preparation, so that when you step into that ring, win, lose, or draw, you can hold your head up high, you know. But I believe that, you know, this can open up the doors for many things. Manny Pacquiao has a rematch clause in this fight. He can choose to exercise it. He can choose not to exercise it. You know, we'll see. You know, I would like to make a big statement, and I would like to get the job done early. You know, if you know, Vegas is just a fun place. So many people come out. I look forward to my family going back to Vegas. I haven't fought in Vegas since
Guerrero, right?
the Guerrero fight. Yeah, you know, 2015. It's been 4 years. You know.
It's been 4 years. Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, you know. So it's crazy.
And you knocked him down, right? Twice in that fight.
I'm 30 and I'm reflecting like, hey man, it's been a while. You know,
Imagine how he feels.
I don't know how this man feels. You know, I mean, you know, he's done it for so long.
What was the first fight you saw of Manny? How old were you?
First fight I saw Manny, I didn't see his lightweight fights. I wasn't a big fan of the lightweight division, and as an amateur, I wasn't a fan of professional boxing because, you know, you never knew if the judges got the fight wrong, if it was a good fight yet it's going to end up in a draw, or it's just a boring fight and you just wasted my Friday and Saturday evening. You know, I've never been a big fan in any sport because I'm not a spectator. I'm a participant. Put me in the game, coach. Yeah. You want to play soccer? I want to play soccer.
So even now you don't watch a lot of fights?
Well, I told you I missed the Louis. I told you I missed the both upsets this year, right? Yeah, you know. Don't watch Canelo.
Why?
The Zone, Triple G, the telecasts suck. You know.
What don't you like about the telecast?
I missed the Crawford Khan fight, even though I was interested in watching it. I missed it, and then of course, why do I gotta watch fights? I come to the gym and I get all the results anyways. And everybody else is talking about it, and it's like, you know, I don't know. I'm in the sport, and I like being in the sport. You know, like I said, I'm not a spectator. There are people who are big fans of the sport. I've never been a fan since the age of 7. I was not a fan of boxing. I was a fan of participating in boxing. I wanted to learn how to box. I didn't want to watch people box.
What do you think is your biggest advantage coming into this fight, Keith?
My biggest advantage coming into this fight, I think, would have to be my ring IQ. I remember when Manny Pacquiao fought Chris Algieri, and he was dominating the fight, but he was getting frustrated in it because the dude was boxing him. You know what I mean?
He's always had trouble with boxers.
Like, Manny, you're winning the fight every round. Why are you getting upset? Calm down, Manny. Just keep moving forward. Take the paycheck. Don't worry about this kid. He's not doing anything. And every single time you hit him, he almost falls down. Calm down. You know. So, you know, and his fight against Adrian Broner, because of Broner's style and how defensive he is, you know, Manny wasn't able to get off for 8 rounds. And then I think that from the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, 11th, and 12th, those were the rounds where Manny really got to make a statement and show the world that at 40 years old, he's still Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, who throws punches and bunches and is willing to come at you, you know, especially when you have nothing to answer him with, you know. And, you know, even if you do answer, you know, we know that he still has the heart to move forward. But we did see, after he got knocked out, the level of cautiousness that he brought into the ring. You know, was it really caution? Was it a learning experience? Was it him being a smarter fighter and less careless? Because now he's careful, you know?
He's a lot less aggressive with jumping in as he was before. Like, he won't just jump in and throw 4, 5, 6 punches. Like, now, like, you could see he's trying to set it up with the jabs and get you in a right position where you...
Here comes forward.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, I mean, we all progress in our own ways, and what's the purpose of losing if you don't learn from it? You know, he's had tremendous victories. He's had losses. He's had controversial fights. The man's been through it all. So, you know, this is a big fight, and it's a great opportunity. and you know, it's Manny Pacquiao, baby. I mean, I can't wait to be in the ring with him.
Does it get you like extra fired up, like knowing that it's Manny?
Being in New York, I mean, it was real funny, you know, like just being on stage with him, you know, seeing the banner and everything. There was a little bit of feeling like, you know, this is really happening, you know, this is really happening, especially because it's something that I wanted 6 years ago, you know, when I was on the rise, when I was chasing after Mayweather, when I was chasing after Pacquiao, and the first fight I got, you know, like I said, 4 years ago, the first fight I wanted to fight, at least one of the names on my to-do list, at least I did get Robert Guerrero, right? But that was the start of me slowly getting fights that I wanted. Then I finally got Shawn Porter. I didn't get Shawn Porter when I wanted Shawn Porter. It was about a year later because I wanted him when he was the IBF champion. And they said, no, we don't need to fight Keith right away. We can let him become champion and we can fight a unification. I did become champion, but you were no longer champion, you know? But I knew it was a great fight and we made it happen anyways.
So I promised our subscribers, over 600,000 of you guys, that I would do fan questions with you, Keith. So I'm going to go ahead and select the best ones. It's not going to be a lot, but I am going to select the best ones.
Best ones?
The best ones.
The worst ones?
The worst ones? It doesn't matter. The nicest ones? All right, let's see here.
What we got?
All right, Kevin Bradford asks, what mistakes can't you make coming into this fight, Keith?
Well, I can't underestimate Manny Pacquiao just because he's 40 years old. That's a big mistake. I have to be well conditioned, you know. I can't just think, you know, okay, I'm bigger, I'm stronger. This isn't a 12-round fight. It's over in 4 rounds, you know. That in itself can be a mistake as well, you know. Can it happen? Yes. But having that mentality, you're not prepared for the long run. You need to be fully prepared each and every fight. And what happens, happens.
All right. I believe Harrison Jones wants to ask you, why do you think people praise Spence so much when you have the better resume and have beaten the better fighters?
Well, you know, I remember back in the day when I had my first headliner. It was at the StubHub, and Julio Diaz.
Oh, yeah, Joel's brother.
Yeah. You know, and I fought Julio Diaz. Julio Diaz had a good fight against Amir Khan. He had 2 good fights against Shawn Porter. And
a lot of people felt he won the first fight with Shawn.
A lot of people did. I actually legitimately scored it a draw. And then the second fight, Shawn edged it out with his style and his offensive brute force. So, you know, I was well prepared for Julio Diaz. He knocked down Amir Khan. He made Shawn look a little unprepared for the classic, you know, the real good pros because he was a veteran. And I just wanted to be really prepared for that fight. And I was. And even in the fight, if you go back and watch the fight, at the second round, he sat down and he goes, his brother is like, come on, you got to get in this fight. And he's like, man, the kid's awkward. And he's like, he's awkward. Yeah, he's awkward. I told you he's awkward. Like, no, you didn't. Stop lying to your brother. Okay, you didn't tell him I was awkward, right? But long story short, after the fight, Chris Getty got to talk to him, and he said, you know, Keith Thurman, you know, your boy's got power, but besides that, he looks like he's vulnerable. And then as soon as I go to do something about it, it's not there no more, you know? And I think one of the reasons why people like Spence's style is because his fundamentals of the way he keeps his hands up, the way he is spacing, his jab, they don't see vulnerability. They see lack of vulnerability, right? The way I fight, they still see Thurman can be hit. We've watched Thurman get hit. His last fight, Jose Cito Lopez hit him with a left hook. He got caught with that body shot. He can't take body shots, you know. They just see vulnerability, you know. Floyd got caught by Sugar Shane Mosley, you know. And then after that, he made sure it never happened again, you know. I believe that, you know, I adjust. I make whatever you want me to do, I'm just going to do what you don't want me to do in the ring. You know, I want you to be frustrated. I want you to think, oh, snaps, this isn't, I thought I was going to prepare for Keith in this way, and yet he's presenting something else. You know, I like to see that confusion on a fighter's face. For an example, Danny Garcia, right? They thought, I don't know what they thought. I mean, his dad talked a whole bunch of trash. You know, they thought they can't lose the dudes with ponytails. That's what they thought. Okay, at the end of the day, I went in there and I showed them I'm the welterweight champion of the world. Here's my right hand. Boom. Here's my power. Boom. I know you got it too, but here's mine. And now what are you going to do about it? Because I got a plan on what to do about yours. What's your plan about mine? You know, he didn't have one. If he had one, he would have had a better performance, okay? We struck him. We hit him with that. We got the respect button. Instant. Respect.
Yeah, the first round when you hit him with a big overhead. Yeah.
Respect. Put the respect on my name. Know that you need to respect me in the ring. And I worked for it. I forced it. I took it right to him. Second round, I was still right up on him, you know? And then as I decided to slowly box, it took him a while to realize, oh, he's not as aggressive anymore. Oh, he's boxing. Maybe I can be aggressive. Oh, wait, the world title's on the line. I do want to still be champion. Let me try to fight. Too late, you know, too late. I dominated the opening rounds, and you know we tug and warred for the finishing rounds, and my hand got raised for multiple reasons. You know, I knew Danny was a counterpuncher, but I never fought Danny. So when I fought him, I mean, it was different. I'd never seen somebody. I'm looking at you, looking at me, looking at you, and we ain't gonna throw a punch, because I want to throw a punch, but I almost want to kind of give you the opportunity to throw the punch. I realize you really don't want to throw a punch. You really, really want me to throw the punch so that you can throw the punch with my punch. I've just never seen somebody who just, you know, like just think about it, right? You're about to fight in the streets, right? Do you want to be the first one to throw the punch or the second one to throw the punch? Danny Garcia is committed to being the second dude to throw the punch. Yeah. And I had to accept that. Mm-hmm. And then when I just accepted that, I said, okay, that means I'm getting off first all the time, right? And what's one of the fundamental rules of boxing that coaches tell you? Be first, boy. Be first. First be last. Be first and be last is the real formula. Mm-hmm. You know, if you want to win, be first and be last, you know. But the first thing the coach will say is be first. He's willing to be second. So all I had to do was take that amateur mindset, be first and be last. 1-2 in, let him throw that hook, step back out, 1-2 back in. There we go. I'm throwing, you're missing, I'm throwing again, and that's how we won that fight.
I know a vast majority of the questions that were asked is if you win this fight, they want to see you go ahead and unify again. Mm-hmm. And the champion right now, it seems to be going to be decided between, on the other side is Spence and Porter if they do fight. Mm-hmm. But are you wanting to face the winner of that fight?
Well, I do. I want to reunify. I want to make some of the most exciting fights in the welterweight division. And that's another reason why we're training so hard, because we're trying to prepare for some of the toughest fights of my career and some of the biggest fights of my career. Manny Pacquiao is a stepping stone into that already. You know, like I said, 2 years out of the game in the pressers for the Jose Cito Lopez fight, I said, don't ask me about Errol Spence in 2019. Don't ask me. It's not happening. 2020, we can talk about it, right? And I pride myself of being a man of my word, so I got no problem with that. You know.
So what do you make of this, like, conception from fans that you're scared of a fight with Errol Spence because of you saying that? Like, I get it because you want time to get back into it as well because you're coming off the energy. But it seems like this perception from fans is like Keith is scared to fight Errol Spence Jr.
I mean, why would I be scared? You know, what's he gonna do? Beat me? What's he gonna do? This is the worst case scenario. What? Knock me out? So what? You know, at the end of the day, man, you know, I'm living a dream. This is what I've always wanted to be, a world-class championship boxer, you know. And the only thing is I have respect for Errol Spence, you know. I was ranked the #1 welterweight in the world when I defeated Danny Garcia, and they ranked Errol Spence #2, especially after he beat Kell Brook. He deserved that position, right? And then people argue with my lack of activity if he deserves the #1 spot. They believe they see the next #1 welterweight. But everybody knows you can't be the #1 welterweight without beating the #1 welterweight. So, you know, I understand the soreness and the hurt feelings, but we got all these undefeated champions. Of course we got to fight eventually, you know. Errol, being the #2 guy with a 2-year layoff, who in their right mind would face the #2 athlete, right? Let's say Kobe, after one of his surgeries, was like, we want you to do a charity event and ball one-on-one, and we want you to ball against the #2 scorer or somebody with the #2 handles. Like, why would he put himself in that situation right after surgery? You know, he's going to be embarrassed. Or like Tiger Woods, after surgery, he's one of the #1 golfers in the world. Post-surgery, why is he going to go head-to-head in a duel against the #2 ranked guy? You know, it's not going to be good, you know? One, I want to have a fair opportunity of winning, right? And I just know that wasn't the right move to make at that time. Let me get back in the ring. Let me get back being a world champion. That's what facing Jose Cito was. We got the dust off. Now we have this challenge of Manny Pacquiao. That's going to solidify this year of being a solid year, and then we can move on into bigger and better things.
Just going through some of the questions here. One is, fighting a living legend like Manny Pacquiao, is there any pressure or concerns? And this question comes from DJ Smith.
You know, there's definitely pressure. There's pressure every fight, but when you're in the spotlight and you're fighting someone who's really in the spotlight, someone like Manny Pacquiao, I felt it, you know. I felt it already at the pressers, you know, this is pay-per-view. You know, this is real championship boxing. I've acquired multiple world titles throughout my career. One thing I haven't done is fight on pay-per-view yet. You know, this is a big stage. This is Las Vegas. This is the biggest paycheck of my career, you know.
That must feel nice.
It does. I really had a goal in preparation for coming back into the sport of boxing, and it was that I wanted to have 2019 to be a $10 million year, and I know for a fact that we've succeeded in that now.
Well, congratulations, man. That's crazy.
You know, I mean, there's so many stepping stones, right, in sports, and I don't want it to end here. That's why we need to be victorious. And, you know, no matter what the pressure is, at the end of the day, take a deep breath, take it all in. This is boxing. You've been here before. Let's fight. Let's just enjoy the show, you know. That Jose Cito Lopez, you know, he had me rattled, you know, but I was still there. I'm still there. And, you know, it might not look like fun, but in a way it woke me up and it made me realize, like, hey, champ, this is what it means to be champ. You almost forgot. Here was a reminder. I was happy to step in the ring with him, a real dog, to remind me what it's like to compete on a world-class level, and how at any given time, you know, somebody can beat you. Just like they say in football, it's any given Sunday, right? At any given time. One time can happen at one time. You know, I'm always looking for those big punches to dodge them, and I'm always looking for those big punches so I can be the one connecting.
Jacob asks, why not go into a unification with Terence Crawford? He has a belt, why not?
Interesting. Real talk, after Jose Cito Lopez, it seemed like ESPN wanted to get at me. A lot of people want to get at me. Boxing's a hot commodity right now. At the end of the day, I wanted to get at Manny Pacquiao. And I was able to make this fight happen. You know, Terence Crawford's not going nowhere. Errol Spence not going nowhere. You know, we're all around the same age. You know, but Manny Pacquiao, regardless of my trash talk of him being extinct with his dinosaur arms and everything, you know.
You said T-Rex arms.
T-Rex arms, you know, his little T-Rex arms, you know.
They're fast T-Rex arms, though.
They gotta be. You know, they gotta be fast. They're T-Rex arms, you know. So, you know, at the end of the day, we've seen fighters fight forever. You know, if he's a living legend, it's his legacy. He gets to do what he wants, right? But we have so much in the youth in the welterweight division. It's not going nowhere. And I'm not waiting 5-6 years to make these things happen. I just said I'm not fighting. Well, another thing that I said is I'm not fighting a world champion this year. You know, and I know Manny Pacquiao is a world champion, but I'm the champion. I'm the super champion at the WBA. His title is under my title. I'm not unifying titles this year. 2019 is not the moment for Keith Thurman to unify. 2020 is another topic.
Final topic, last question. When you look at this fight and you visualize it mentally, do you really see yourself knocking him out, Manny?
I mean, it's 50-50.
Yeah.
I think it's 50-50. You know, they say it's 50-50 of me losing. There's a lot of 50-50s, you know? I mean, it's a coin flip, quarter toss, maybe heads or tails, you know? That's why we're working so hard. That's why we've added strength, so that we know that the strength that we're adding, we're going to bring it into the ring. You know, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And at this world-class level, one thing that I've said a lot is that me not creating knockouts is not my bad, but my opponent's good. He's also a world-class fighter, right? World-class fighters are not easy to knock out. How many times has Keith Thurman been knocked out? Never. You know, so, I mean, it's
Manny's been knocked out.
He has been knocked out, you know, and a whole bunch of fighters have been knocked out, TKO'd, you know, and I'm not saying that I'm going to go my whole career unscathed, you know. Like I've always said, I got to owe. I'm not afraid to let it go. If you can beat me, beat me. Win, lose, draw, I'm living a dream. This is from a kid that was 7 years old, now 30, you know, boxing is my life. It's my heart, it's my soul. So, you know, and at the end of the day too, losing is not everything. The sport still needs us. I'm a world-class entertainer. I'm not going anywhere. Being defeated doesn't mean that you have to leave the sport of boxing. You don't get beat and then they say, all right, we'll never see you again. You know, no. And throughout the history of boxing, sometimes fighters get beat to create that greatness within them. Muhammad Ali was beaten. Sugar Ray Leonard was beaten. You know, so many fighters were beat. You know, it's not. This is the fight game. You're fighting world-class fighters. Styles makes fights. You know. I just stay really educated in the sport of boxing so that I can be prepared for all these different styles, take it one fight at a time, and do my best to always reign victorious.
You still love boxing, even after all this time? Like, do you still have the same desire you did when you were a little kid?
Man, that was fun in there today.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was great being in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely love boxing.
That's good, because I know as time goes on, some boxers kind of lose it, you know, and that saying with Hagler, it's hard to run when you're in silk pajamas. You wake up every morning in silk pajamas. Like the desire, once you get comfortable, kind of goes away over time. You've been able to avoid that.
Well, I have big dreams, you know, and I see my dreams coming true, or at least, you know, knowing that you can actually reach and touch your dream. You know, maybe you grab it, maybe you get everything that you ever wanted in life, but the journey is just as fun.
It's very true. Keith, man, it's always a pleasure talking to you so much, and I could spend another hour speaking to you, but thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Here with Keith, one-time Thurman, fights Manny Pacquiao July 20th on pay-per-view.